60 Minutes has reported on plenty of high-profile crimes before, but nothing like the foul play involving the Columba livia domestica. That's not some international crime syndicate. That's the scientific name for pigeons, and they're being stolen. We're talking about elite racing pigeons. The finest compete at international events in which they're released far from home and must find their way back. As prizes have risen up into the millions, the birds have become targets for what insiders call the Pigeon Mafia. The Flemish region of Belgium is a land of medieval towers and fine chocolate. It's also home to some of the most sought-after birds on Earth. Yep, these guys. What Kentucky is to thoroughbred horses, Belgium is to racing pigeons. And there are few better at breeding a champion than Tom Van Gover. Where some see a bird that looks like it's trying to remember how to breathe, Van Gover sees an elite athlete with a calculating gaze.
What makes this pigeon a great racer?
Yeah, he has everything a good racer need to have, but of course we cannot look in the head. You can have a very smart pigeon, but when the body is not strong enough, his head wants to go home, but the body cannot follow the other. So
Van Gover breeds, sells, and races his pigeons at events around the world, such as this. The weight of his dominance can be seen inside his modest home. But in his pigeon loft out back are his real prizes. Pigeons that can fly hundreds of miles at highway speeds, feathered Ferraris worth a fortune.
How much could you get for all the pigeons out there?
I think around $10 million.
$10 million in pigeons?
Yeah, for these 300 sitting here.
This was his greatest. His name was Finn. In a sport in which pedigree is everything, Finn was the secretariat of the sky. Pigeon breeders, known as fanciers, traveled across oceans just to take a picture with Finn.
People all recognize him because of his color, but of course he was a very good racer and of course a very good breeder.
Finn was not for sale, but he was a priceless stud. Fanciers paid up to $100,000 for Finn's offspring. And then, one night, as Van Gover slept, a nightmare unfolded in his pigeon loft. This surveillance video is from 2024. Finn was in his favorite spot when he was snatched by an intruder.
It's like the Mona Lisa from the pigeon sport they stole.
Why the Mona Lisa?
Yeah, because it's famous. Maybe it's old and it's not for sale, but everybody wants to see it.
6 other pigeons were also abducted.
The first time you watch it, and the second time, and the third time, and then start to look, who is he?
The whodunit was among 35 pigeon robberies across Belgium over the last 3 years. High-value racing pigeons have also been stolen in Great Britain, South Africa, and the United States. This tape was from an unsolved caper in 2023 outside Philadelphia. To understand what's behind this avian crime wave and why a member of our species would risk jail time to steal a member of this species, we visited Ryan Zonikin.
So what is different about this pigeon than the pigeon I'm going to see in New York defacing a statue?
They're bred for the performance, for their racing abilities.
Zonikin is a Canadian fancier who calls himself the pigeon boss.
When you're holding a pigeon in your hand, what is it you're looking for?
It's got to be like a steel bar, but then it has to be as light as an empty soda can. And the feathers have to be like the most beautiful woman's hair, soft and silky. That's how it's got to be. And then the eye has to look like you're at Tiffany's.
Look like you're at Tiffany's, the pigeon eye?
The eye of the pigeon, yeah.
That eye, to the uninitiated, looks more like a panic button. Pigeons don't walk so much as glitch. Their coloring resembles concrete tinged with the broken rainbow of a parking lot oil slick. And when they take flight, they can make you look like a Disney princess that's hit rock bottom.
Where can I put this down?
They fixed your hair for you, see?
Zonikin moved from Canada to Belgium because he loves pigeons, like a lot.
If this was a room of hens, of women, pigeons, females, hens, and you came in here every day, and I said hello. Hi, girls. Hi.
Yeah.
Hi. And I look at her, and she sits up here, and you talk to her a little. You talk a little bit. Look at her, and you make eye contact with her, just like a girl at the bar.
The love affair Europe has for pigeon racing began in the 1800s and grew into a working-class sport.
There's not a feeling like when you sit there on a weekend and wait for your pigeons and you see them come home. It's like, wow, I did this. You're the coach, you're the nutritionist, you're the scout. It's the best.
But purists have seen the sport change as prize money has soared. It started about 20 years ago with a new kind of competition called one-loft racing, in which fanciers from around the world battle for millions of dollars.
It's a beautiful idea, but when there's money involved, it's not the same.
We went to a one-loft race in Portugal to see how it works. Months earlier, fanciers shipped their best young prospects to the race loft so the pigeons could learn to recognize it as their home. The cost to enter a bird is about $500. The more pigeons, the larger the pot of prize money. All racing pigeons are identified by leg bands. Just before the race, each of the 3,300 birds is scanned into a database and then driven 300 miles away to be released. The first pigeon to find their way back into the loft wins. 6 hours later, a spotter at the finish blew a whistle to signal the leaders were circling above. The first into the loft got the biggest cuts of the $1.2 million purse.
It's crazy. You only see the last 30 seconds of a pigeon race. Isn't it something?
People refer to it as a sport.
It's a sport.
Is it a sport?
Sure it is. Is horse racing a sport? It's a sport.
And as the prizes have climbed, so has the demand for the fastest pigeons.
100,000 is a bid.
One-loft winners are considered blue-chip assets. Their DNA is like an ATM,
Sold to Poland.
producing descendants that can sell for hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Yep. Come on.
Ryan Zonikin pays his bills by auctioning Belgian birds online.
Take a look.
It all has an infomercial feel,
She's buoyant, she has it all, and she's got the look.
well lubricated with gin and tonic.
You can actually see the brains right in them. Just take a good look.
On this night, the highest bids topped $3,000, but that's chicken feed compared to the largest auction player in Belgium. It's called Pigeon Paradise, or PIPA for short.
How many pigeons do you sell a year, and about how much total sales are we talking about?
I think about 40 million euro.
Are you kidding me? Which is like $46 million in pigeon sales a year?
Yeah.
Whoa.
I mean, there's still a big potential.
Nicholas Hazelbrick started PIPA when he was 18. About half of the sales go to Chinese buyers who are even more obsessed with pigeons than the Belgians. In 2020, a Chinese tycoon paid a record $1.8 million for one bird. China has over 400,000 registered pigeon fanciers, with 5-star luxury lofts and races offering as much as $16 million in prizes.
If we don't have China, it would be very hard to run the business.
Because why?
Because they make the price.
More big spenders have followed from the Middle East. The result? A global arms race for wings. With so much money at stake, the bad guys moved in and began to steal the sport's superstars.
They'll have the people come in and look at the pigeons, somebody who's orchestrating it, and then they send other people, maybe a week later, a month later, a year later, take them. And normally the time when breeding starts, in the end of November, December, January, that's when all the key birds will be paired together. Easy stealing, right?
We've heard people talking about a pigeon mafia. Is that a thing?
Yeah, I think there is. Again, it's money involved.
fanciers and investigators told us they believe international gangs are behind smuggling networks that breed the stolen pigeons to sell their offspring on the black market to fanciers anxious to supercharge their bloodlines. This batch, stuffed in socks and hidden in a briefcase, was stopped in December at Latvia's border with Russia.
Have you seen crazy security at these lops now?
Oh, yeah.
What have you seen?
Oh, multiple cameras, laser beams going across.
So now, panicked fanciers in Belgium are turning to this soft-spoken veterinarian to help protect their pigeons.
There's some droppings on this.
Sure.
That can happen.
Ruben Landkreet is a pioneer in genetic testing on pigeons. That's a thing. He maintains a database of over 70,000 birds that stretch back over 10 generations.
It has been very important in proving parentage, father, mother, for sale of pigeons.
He showed us how he plucks genetic samples from feathers. The idea is his genetic library offers some protection from the pigeon mafia because a stolen pigeon or its offspring could be identified by DNA and make it too risky to sell or race. And that gets us back to Tom Von Gogher and his missing masterpiece, Finn. This is the point in the story where you might expect to hear from hard-charging detectives who took on the case. But the Belgian federal police wanted 60 Minutes to agree to what we might ask in an interview, what they might say, and what we could report. That didn't fly with us. So here's what we learned from sources close to the investigation. Police combed through security camera video, license plate reader data, and cell phone records tied to a dozen robberies across Belgium, including Tom Von Gogher's. That led to a raid in March 2025 in a Brussels suburb on this yellow house and a Romanian national. 1,200 miles away, Romanian cops also searched the homes of some of his relatives. In all, 87 pigeons were found that appeared to be birds stolen from Belgium. The identity rings were gone, so cops turned to Ruben Landkreet and his genetic testing. His DNA analysis helped identify 20 of the recovered pigeons, including 2 of Finn's grandchildren.
Pigeon thefts have been happening.
But now you can solve them, right?
With DNA. Yes, that's a very good. Now we can close the case.
Well, kind of. 8 co-conspirators were convicted, with the mastermind sentenced to 30 months in jail. But he won't reveal what happened to the rest of Tom Von Gogher's stolen pigeons, including Finn.
Where are the pigeons? Give them back.
This isn't about the money for you. This is about the pigeon.
I want my pigeon back.